Hi, my name is Scott Moye. I'm a tour guide here at the Old State House Museum.
My name is Jim Hickey. I'm a senior tour guide here at the Old State House Museum.
And we'd like to welcome you to another conversation in the gallery here at the Old State House. Today we're going to be talking about little known facts of Arkansas becoming a state in the United States. I was reading in a book the other day by Ron Chapman. He wrote a book on the Battle of New Orleans. And in it, he describes a scene where Andrew Jackson, who's president of the United States, is in a room with a former Ohio governor named Will Allen. And the two toasted to Arkansas becoming a state. And then Jackson said to Allen, Mr. Allen, had it not been for us winning the Battle of New Orleans, Arkansas would never have been saved for the Union. And Jackson went on to explain that the Treaty of Ghent, which was going to bring the War of 1812 to an end, had some clauses in it that had the British won that battle, the entire Louisiana Purchase would have gone over to the British, who then would have turned it over to the Spanish. The Treaty of Ghent had not been ratified by the United States or Great Britain when the Battle of New Orleans took place. And so the British goal was to get Louisiana back, turn it over to the Spanish, because they didn't recognize any sales or anything that were done under Napoleon, who Britain had been fighting. And the British still had sort of an anger thing with the United States, because essentially the United States sort of funded France against Great Britain, when they were fighting Napoleon. And so they wanted to try to undermine the United States in that way. And so Jackson was adamant that Arkansas would not have been a state in the Union had it not been for the United States winning the Battle of New Orleans.
That's a very interesting story.
Yeah, it kind of puts a different spin on it.
Different spin on it, and kind of also leads us into what we're going to be talking about today. Basically, is Arkansas's quest for statehood. And one of the first things we need to understand is Arkansas history. If you look at around 1830 here in Arkansas, there wasn't that much of a demand at that point in time to become a state, but it was really becoming to be somewhat interesting. But what really happened in fact 1830 is you had Ambrose Sevier, who was a delegate, a territorial delegate, who did not support statehood, and also William Woodruff, who was the editor of the Arkansas Gazette in 1830, didn't support it.
Yeah, neither one of them.
No, they didn't support statehood. But then something happened in 1833. All of a sudden, you have these two, Ambrose and Woodruff, all of a sudden becoming adamant supporters of statehood. What had happened, though, that driving element that happened was Michigan, and some people don't really understand the impact Michigan had on Arkansas becoming a state. 1833, Michigan was making inroads and beginning to get these feelers out to become a state. And at that time, Ambrose Sevier was concerned that he had to move quickly. Arkansas had to move quickly. And if you look at the history of Arkansas becoming a state, and if you want to see who was the main driver of Arkansas becoming a state, it was Ambrose Sevier, because he was a territorial delegate to Washington. Anyway, he sees Michigan is ready, and he knows because of the Missouri Compromise, Michigan being a free state, that a slave state was going to have to be partnered
with Michigan.
And so there were two states that fit this mode. This was Arkansas and Florida. So anyway, in 1833, Ambrose Sevier actually does submit a bill in Congress to begin the process of having Arkansas become a state, but Congress just kind of lets it slide, doesn't really pursue that. They're not really ready yet to go there.
Congress isn't? Or?
Congress, up in the U.S. Congress. But then in 1834, Ambrose Sevier saw that he could seize this moment, because what happened was that this is another unknown fact, the Florida delegate to the U.S. Congress left Washington to go back to Florida, and Ambrose Sevier saw this as the prime opportunity to ask the U.S. Congress to partner Arkansas with Michigan.
So when the guy goes out of town, we get the job done.
That's what happened. So then we talk about what needs to be done. What else needs to be done? Well, first off, in 1835, the federal U.S. Congress asked had to be a census. Arkansas had to fulfill
Population requirement.
population requirement. That was 40,000. The census was taken in 1835. Arkansas had 52,000. Some felt that was a stretch. And then the second thing that had to be done was that had to have a constitutional convention. And what was not
Now, the Constitutional Convention, that's going to be in Arkansas.
in Arkansas.
Because the Arkansas
Right.
people have to decide.
Exactly. And what's another little unknown event is that the territorial governor at the time, William Fulton, did not support Arkansas becoming a state. And so when the territorial delegates got together to pass a bill authorizing the Constitutional Convention back in October of 1835, William Fulton, he vetoes it. He does a pocket veto. Well, as a pocket veto goes, ultimately what happens is that within time it becomes law without signature. So that's what happened. So January 4th, we have a Constitutional Convention. The delegates pass the Constitution. And the Constitution then needs to be sent to the U.S. Congress. So they send a delegate, his name is Nolan. They send him with a copy of the Constitution to Washington, D.C. But guess what? At that time, William Woodruff actually included a copy of the Constitution in its entirety in the Arkansas Gazette.
So the Constitution that Arkansas passed is actually going to be printed in the newspaper by William Woodruff.
But guess what? The paper gets to Washington, D.C. before the delegates. So Congress uses the copy of the Constitution in the Arkansas Gazette to begin the statehood process.
I mean, that's just, almost hearsay. I mean, if William Woodruff had put any of his, shenanigans in that article that purported to be the Constitution of Arkansas, that would have been a difficult thing for Congress to have justified.
During the debate, the committee approved Arkansas statehood. The bill was sent up to Andrew Jackson, June 15th, 1836. Andrew Jackson signs the bill in creating the state of Arkansas. So effective June 15th, 1836, Arkansas became the 25th state of the Union. And if you're ever in the museum, we have a flag up in the 1836 State House that reflects Arkansas and the 25 stars.
Yeah, 25th state in the Union.
So this is Arkansas's birthday, 185 years old this month. And these were little unknown facts that existed about Arkansas's quest for statehood.
Please visit us up here at the Old State House Museum. Check out our Facebook page, and appreciate you listening in. Thanks.
Goodbye.